I rise today to present SCR 66. I've done many resolutions in my time in the legislature. This is the most important resolution that I have ever done because it recognizes and underpins what we do as legislators, because it recognizes the importance of the rule of law on one specific day, and that's Law Day, May 1. Law Day was first established by President Eisenhower to juxtapose it to the celebrations that went on, particularly in communist countries in the Soviet bloc, because they recognized May 1 as their sort of International Workers' Day, which was a combination of what would be our 4th of July and Christmas and Thanksgiving. And so President Eisenhower decided that what we should do is we should revere and recognize the rule of law. Now, that's been true of virtually every president until the current president. The rule of law, as I said earlier, underpins what we do as a democracy. Unfortunately, we've not done a good job of communicating the importance of the rule of law. I recently had a constituent tell me, the rule of law does not pay my mortgage. The rule of law does not impact the price of eggs. That's not accurate. The rule of law basically makes it so that we can buy eggs. Without the rule of law, we have no eggs. We can see what happens when the rule of law evaporates, whether it's Russia with an authoritarian regime, or it's Venezuela with a socialistic authoritarian regime, or any other country that adopts authoritarian rule. We have currently the chief executive who is attempting to undermine the rule of law in a variety of ways, and I won't speak to all of them, but one of the ways in which he has determined to undermine the rule of law is by attacking those who would defend the rule of law, specifically law firms who he does not like, law firms that represent clients that he does not like, law firms that stand up to the chief executive, as lawyers and law firms have done since the beginning of our republic. There are certain law firms that should be recognized for their determination, their resiliency, and their passion to fight back. Perkins Coie, for example, Jenner Block, Wilmer Hale, Sussman, they've all been the target of executive orders in order to put them out of business, in order to keep them from representing causes that the president does not like, using the sort of the subterfuge of saying that they support diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, some of the law firms we should be particularly proud of. I'm particularly proud of Morrison & Foerster. I'm an alumnus from Morrison & Foerster and Cooley. My daughter is an alumna from Cooley. And other law firms have stood up to the president. Kecker and Van Est and Peters have actually not just led the effort, but they have invested their own time, passion, and energy into defending other law firms who would stand up to the president to enforce the rule of law. Even the Chief Justice of the United States, has said that the current administration, by attacking judges who rule against them, by suggesting any judge who rules against the administration should be impeached, undermines the independence of the judiciary and thus undermines the rule of law. Our current president said the following, quoting, or at least apparently quoting Napoleon Bonaparte, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." Nothing could be further from the truth. And so today we recognize Law Day, and we recognize those law firms who have stood up at their own risk, at their own peril, at their own economic risk and peril to the President of the United States. I urge an aye vote.